I don't think we want to do it again just because, we kind of want to get back to the main, gameplay and stuff like that. But it was fun. So I think a lot of members had fun. I think a lot of members, if they knew what we'd have to go through back in, I guess, August, September, whenever the war started, they would do it again. I think most people would vote to do it again. I don't think they would vote to not do it. As for like the ending, all I'll say about the private deal is that everybody left satisfied and happy, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm no longer I don't think internally anybody is pissed at Spectre anymore, or we want to fight Spectre again. I don't think we actually want to fight Spectre again. I don't know if we'll work with Spectre, but I don't think we'll fight Spectre again simply because we kind of just did it for the last year. We had fun, but maybe fight somebody else going forward kind of thing. Right now, we're kind of just, getting back to normal type of thing. So, and for the Patty's Pub merger, I would say this has probably been the most seamless merger ever. There's been no arguments, no anything. I think because our communities were a lot alike anyway, and we kind of had similar arcs of fighting people with better tiering, and Patty's was they knocked down MILF when they shouldn't necessarily have, and that earned them a lot of brownies points, and they're a good group, so they have a history too. So it wasn't just about, I know a lot of people be like, oh, you people absorb and stuff. It really wasn't like that. This was a mutually needed merge, I felt like, and we both wanted to do it, and it kind of just happened over time, and we just pulled the trigger. We thought, why wait? Just go ahead. We worked so well together already. Just go ahead, let's do it. So we did it. So I don't know. I feel like we've. It looks like we're doing really well, and stuff, and we are, and I'm really proud of all the members and all the Gov members who, stuck through and stayed home and stuff. So I feel like we're in a good place now, and I feel like a lot of the members after the 11th month promo war honestly deserve the opportunity to be a top 10 alliance and kind of influence the game more, and kind of bring this more of a long-term fighting style where it's not like a grievance or anything like that. It's more like a, and I'm rambling a bit, but more like just a culture to the game. And I think that culture is good for the game. I think a warring culture is, what this game needs. So alliances like Citadel and the Golden Horde, I think, are very much needed.
So let me back up a bit. I mean, those were some pretty good answers. Thank you for taking us through some of your perspective on things. But just to back it up a bit, because you're like, I don't think we're going to do that again. Wouldn't you say that's useful to have that in your back pocket, that you could do that again politically? You know what I mean? I think you probably earned some respect points because, through the past 12 months, people were kind of justifiably shitting on you, but then you duck it out, and now I think you hit a point where you turn it into a dub where you kind of get respect points, which is what you're going after the whole time, right? So, you end up the Battle of Wills, you ended up winning, so people kind of had to eat crow in some kind of way. Could it be argued, hey, it wasn't worth it? Maybe, but ultimately, there is probably an argument to be made, kind of like what you're saying here, is that culturally is kind of needed in PNW space, where people know that it's like the crazy guy at work. Don't piss that guy off. You'll shoot up the office or something. Yeah.
We gotta do a better reference.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, though, right? I think you have that nuclear option where you have that in your back pocket. Basically, when you say you're going to do something, that's going to carry a little bit of weight. Now, you're a caster, and you've also been playing the game for a long time. So, people that know you, I'm not going to, well, guess there's a lot of new blood in here, and I think if this is what they've seen from TGH, I mean, that's going to be the most recent impression. That's going to be the lasting impression currently, is that, hey, we're willing to go to war for a year and burn, and we've got the loyalty in the members and the ability to withstand attrition. So that carries some weight, I would assume. And you got the money. You got what you're asking for. Right?
So yeah, the members of TGH are very honor bound, so they're not going to do something that they're not going to agree to something that they wouldn't like back up. So they would never have agreed to peace, without being heard, I guess. So I would say people should know that if you break a nap against the Golden Horde, be prepared. You're going to have to hear what the members have to say about it, and you're going to have to agree with whatever the members say, or we'll last you out until one of us decides to change our minds. It took months for anyone to change their mind the first time. So do you want to go down this route again is kind of like the thing. So I would say that I would say we're probably not trying to, and I want to make this clear that we're not gonna go out with the thought that we want to perma war alliances. We're not gonna go with the thing that if you see us in a war, oh no, TGH wants to perma war us. That's not gonna be a thing that we're gonna do. But if you break a nap against us, we will fight you forever. So that's kind of just the thing that we're doing.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, if someone that you maybe find on the opposite side find you in their DMs, and there's there might just be a little bit extra weight. So kudos to you for withstanding that. That takes some endurance. So nice work.
Thanks.
I mean, again, that's the attrition part is the most impressive, I think, that you guys withheld, and then also the merge was clutch for everything else too, because that gives extra juice. Because I'm sure, a year, that's not easy. I remember dial up. That's not easy to be at conflict. My alliance essentially folded soup, because of a year of war. And then we had to rebrand and get all these people in to juice them up. And so, with your guys, is to continue on and then get that absorption from Patty's, and then get that extra juice into the community, while also giving them extra juice too, because I do know they like to fight. You're right. Danny's a cool dude. Rubber and Will King and C, all those guys. That's a pretty good bunch, underrated bunch for sure. So it's a good
for sure
grouping. Yeah. So
yeah, it was literally perfect when we talked about it. It was literally. And Danny and Seed and Kappa and everybody, Juju, they all fit in so well.
Kappa's
so
good too. Yeah, Kappa's dope. Yeah, yep. Yeah, no, good grouping, for sure. So, I guess with that said, what's your guys' plans moving forward politically, FA wise and otherwise? You guys have a 9-month nap. So what's next?
So I feel like we were removed from politics for a year, and a lot of alliances kind of just discounted us. And I think the members of TGH deserve some R&R after the whole year. And I actually also think the members of Spectre deserve some R&R after a year too. So I would urge people probably to just leave them alone as well, if possible. Just let everybody kind of, recover and, get back. We play this game to, build nation. We play to fight, yeah. But we also play to, build and, stuff like that, get projects. And, we kind of missed the last year. So we want to focus on that and get everybody, a city or two and, beef everybody up, get their projects. We don't even have military research in a lot of people. So, we missed that whole arc where everybody else got it. We were fighting. So, we're going to go and focus on stuff like that and, kind of just sit here. We're working on our relationships with Singularity and, Event Horizon. We haven't really talked to people within the last year. So we're kind of getting to know everybody again and, see who's out there. There's been some changes. So things like that.
externally, has there been any communities since doing this reset that have either surprised you, or good or bad, or anything interesting that you've noticed that you think, either that you respect or think, what are you doing? Curious.
You know what I think is the most interesting thing? That, and this is gonna, I think everyone kind of, so there's this like big thing, I feel like, where people think, and I've heard it a couple times from a couple alliances where we need to like choose a side because of the bipolarity that's like forming, I guess, formed, however you want to say. I don't believe that we're in bipolarity, but there's this thing where people believe that we're in bipolarity and they want us to like maybe choose a side. I think it's hilarious that alliances who didn't choose any sides in perma-war are coming to us saying to us to choose a side, and they're now bipolar conflict that they have going on. I think that's hilarious. I think that's like been the biggest shock to me. Like, they can't read the room, I think, is like the biggest thing. That's like, to me, that's like, oh, you have no idea what you're doing. You're coming to us like with that angle. Like, why would we choose a side? You didn't choose a side, so we're not going to choose a side. So it's kind of my thing.
Right on. All right. Well, I think you made a comment in Ron or OCN or somewhere saying that you don't think the nap will last. Do you stand by that?
So I think that every time Panky hits somebody, that everybody accuses Citadel of breaking the nap and is like very upset about it. And I just think that 5 months is a long time. Everybody's going to ROI the info by the end of August at latest. Alliances are going to wake back up by then. Everybody's going to be built. And then there's going to be a lot of raids going on. And I genuinely just think, something might just happen. I don't want it to happen. I'm not a proponent of breaking naps, but it's a 5-month nap with a huge rating clause and exemptions. And I just think someone, once the ROIs come in, are going to just be a little bit more pissy. Especially if you got nuked during your ROI phase, and now instead of getting to August, you're like in September, and you might be a little bit more pissy too. So I don't know. It's just 5 months is a long time for a nap, especially between everybody. So I don't know. I hope nothing happens, but I could see something very dumb happening and some conflict happening. I don't know if it'll be like a full nap break, but I think we'll see a lot of stuff happens come like end of August, September, where it'll start being more than just, yapping and Ron.
Yeah, dude. Nice. Well, Valeni, you asked to join in, so I figured, hey.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? Long time no see, friends. Kastor,
Wait a minute. Do you even have a nation?
I don't, man. I deleted.
Not important. Not important.
I deleted, man. That's why I want to pick your brain. I got some outsider questions for you, just to follow up. It kind of jogged my mind a little bit. So with your kind of going back a little bit, I'm gonna kind of retrack, if you don't mind. But your war with Spectre and the whole, I kind of chimed on in chat, the bot evidence versus in-game evidence. Do you feel like you kind of set a precedent of, in-game is the only thing that matters, and, bots are should be discarded? I know when it came out, myself as an FA guy, I was a little on the fence because I'm like, these bots are obviously, not 100% accurate. Even DTC's, bot isn't 100%. So, there's always that margin for error. And I think that the way that you handled that of like, hey, if it's not caught in game, like, it doesn't matter what the results say. So myself, I was glad that you stuck to your guns on that. But do you feel like you've set a precedent for future alliances in this and kind of changed that image a little?
So I think that we set a precedent, but not for like bots or whatever. I think the precedent set is that there's obviously like if you break an app, no one's gonna do anything. And I think that's like something that a lot of people don't want you to say out loud. But I think it's just true, right? Like no one's gonna do anything. Like no one's going to stop anyone from breaking an app. So you can do literally whatever you want. But you also have to deal with the consequences of the thing that you do. And there's not gonna be anyone to come to save you either. That was something that I think a lot of people didn't realize going into this war. Yeah, you can break a nap and no one will do anything. But no one will come save you from the consequences of your nap break either if somebody decides to do something. So alliances need to be careful about the things that they decide to do and not just willy-nilly do things. That's what I'll say. I think that alliances will utilize whatever spy, botting, whatever evidence they feel like they need whatsoever. That's not really the thing. The thing is, if you escalate it too far, be prepared to deal with the consequences of your escalation. Because I think we kind of proved that smaller groups can still persevere against bigger groups. And it's not just willy-nilly 1v1 like, oh, you just got blitzed, you lost. Oh, well, you're kind of stuck in here with us. Right? You have to end the war if you start one. That's something that I think also this last coalition dealt with too. They had trouble ending the war with getting all of their stuff through to get the other coalition to sign it. You have to be very careful about wars you sign going forward, everyone, because you need to be able to end them.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and having those point of contacts. I kind of mentioned you had voiced that frustration with Spectre of you got a lot of heads, you're not really sure who's running what. Do you feel like that with these merges and these bigger alliances that positions are becoming a little more kind of overlapped a little bit? Was this more of like obviously not to call Spectre out, but they're the ones that this was expressed about. But do you feel like it's a bigger alliance problem, or do you feel like it's like a merger problem? Is it a one person kind of trying to do too much things? Like, what do you feel the communication is kind of like in PNW when you're dealing with these new alliances that are big? Do you feel like too many cooks in the kitchen?
I think you can have all of these positions as long as everybody knows that at the end of the day, there's one guy who's going to make the call. I think some of these new alliances are going to have a tough realization of realizing that you have to have one guy who's just going to make the decision at the end of the day. All the best alliances have one person who just makes the decision. You might not like the decision, you might not agree with the decision, but that's the decision that they're going with, and your alliance can rally around that. If you don't have someone to make the decision, a lot of indecisionness and indecisiveness will be your downfall. I think, like, even if you look at like an alliance like Event Horizon, right? Krampus is in charge. Like, let's be honest. Like, Krampus is in charge. Look at Eclipse. Vanes is in charge. Like, all the other people have big roles and big says in the alliance. It's true, right? But at the end of the day, there has to be somebody who makes the final decision. Who says, "All right, guys, look, we're doing X, Y, and Z, and that's what we're doing." And I think some of these alliances who truly share and want to share leadership all the way through, I think they're going to run into that problem. The Golden Horde has a great structure. Everybody speaks, everybody talks, we vote on issues. But, if it comes down to a split decision, it comes down to stuff, I got to make the decision, right? I'm the great Khan, right? Brohan had to make the decision for me. I got to make the decision now, right? That's how it is. So I think these alliances need to, appoint somebody to be their end guy and then fall back on that person and then just roll with it going forward. Like, even if you're like all split, like if it's split, 2-2, 1-1-1, just pick a guy and that's your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good.
I feel that, man. I'm just, like I said, being removed for a few months and all that. I kind of miss the good stuff here. So, I have a lot of thoughts that have kind of triggered, and you've touched on a lot of them, man. And TGH, I know. Just from me to you, like back when I was in Rose, you guys were kind of going through it a little bit, and and we, seeing you move over to Eclipse, kind of getting in this groove you got. Now you got a merger going on. You had the longevity there. The perseverance is something that I respect a lot. From you, and you've always stuck to your guns and kind of put your your heels in the sand and push back against anybody who's doubted you guys. So the merge is promising. He already asked you what's next, but when you look at, you said a lot of people believe that there's bipolarity right now, and you're kind of not choosing sides. Do you think that we end up in a situation where politically kind of that Eclipse Rose back and forth kind of ends, and do you think we start splitting off into these splinter wars? I mean, you're kind of that first long alliance based war that has happened in a long time. And the fact that it drug out so long, do you think that we move in that direction more with these smaller conflicts and a little less hands-on from the community, or do you see kind of more of the same moving forward?
I actually see. So I think that a lot of alliances are scared. I think a lot of alliances see what transpired with TGH, and they would never be able to handle that. Like, look at some of these alliances and communities after a 3 to 4 month war, right? Like, compare that to TGH and Spectre. Like, honestly, I'm gonna give props to Spectre, because Spectre's community handled it pretty well. They had a couple deletions, couple stuff. We did too. It happens. But most of their people stayed home and didn't leave, didn't desert, didn't do anything. So
who's the leader over there?
Fuck if I know. So look at the people like Inspector and TGH versus some of these smaller alliances, or not even smaller, but like I guess smaller now, but mid-tier alliances who still after this war haven't recovered. Who have big issues that happened. So I think alliances are scared. They're not going to do 1v1s. They're not going to do anything like that. I think we're going to see more of like these wars. I hope that they're not bipolar wars where you see, these two big groups fighting. I hope that we split out a bit more, and maybe some new, matchups, or just maybe some reimagined matchups of some old ones where everybody kind of just, resets relations and moves on. So that's what I would push forward and kind of want.
All right, here's what I got. Kastor. Did TGH do the spy attacks on Spectre's group?
So I think it's a little. I think people misunderstand what the whole situation that happened there. So kind of let me walk everybody through. There were some spy attacks on MMO, and let me tell you what they were. They were attacking us and our allies, and we spied them during the time that they were attacking us. Then we signed an app with Spectre, and then there was one more alleged spy attack that did not happen. That one that they declared the war on did not happen. And then that's what they were like basing it off of. So then they were like, "Oh, we had 4 or 5 like screenshots in a row of it." That's not what kind of transpired. They were raiding us. We spied them. There was more than just rage to spy them, because they raided us. They were allies and they raided us. So then a couple weeks later, there was a one spy up that came up. We didn't do that one, and then they attacked us over it.
I mean, just to be clear, from the outside looking in, here's what I think happened. I think you guys absolutely did the spy attack. I think Spectre jumped the gun, and they didn't have what they needed to, clearly, to get universal support. But I think everyone thinks and or knows or whatever that you guys actually did that and then doubled down on it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you did it or not, because you withstood the duration of that war, and ultimately, I think your narrative ended up winning. So, and again, you got extra points from it. So I think all around it was a win. The only loss on that is maybe some of your city growth, but I think what you guys gained out, is bigger than the city growth that you guys missed out on. That's just my opinion. I mean, it's just like my opinion, man. Like, I could be wrong. Technically, no one's got
my thing is, Kev, is like, we're so reliant on bots for everything that it's taken the in-game action kind of out of the equivalent, and we're passing it off as evidence or proof, and quite frankly, no technology is fail proof. So I mean, I think it happened. I think Kastor did it. Or not Kastor did, but I think Rage did it. And it is what it is. But at the end of the day, like, if it ain't caught in game, it ain't caught in game.
Well, I mean, they played it wrong. They just played it wrong. There's a few ways they could have played it, and it might have been fine. But ultimately, I mean, TGH won that conflict. Yeah. So, right on. So that's what I got there. You made the mistake of telling your lady that you play P&W, which that's wild. I didn't even tell my wife for like almost a year. So
she's laughing that you said that.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I'm on too many voice chats for, like, it would be like, why are you talking to these guys on voice chats?
Yeah, so that's fair.
So I want to ask one more question, because I'm going to hop off real quick, but let me just interject this.
Is it going to be without glaze?
No, it's real, man. I'm just trying to, be outside. I could talk shit all day. Kastor knows we could have fun. But no, so what's your opinion, and maybe for you too, Kev, just because it was something that intrigued me, is, it kind of seemed like Camelot being interjected into the peace talks kind of delayed things for everybody. How do you guys feel about, like, not just Camelot, like, kind of, maybe you could touch on that, but furthermore, just outside parties kind of being looped in and taking these old situations and implementing them into new peace terms. Do you feel like that's kind of like a stretch? Do you feel like somebody was throwing them a bone? Like, what's your take on that? Because for me, if you're once it's dead, it's dead. Try not to throw too many people a bone, but that part. Second part is the rating clauses of so many people are starting to be exempt from naps due to the rating parts. Kind of, what's your thought on how that's progressing and how it's becoming more normalized from both of you?
All right, I'll go first on the Camelot thing, because I think I have a different opinion than a lot of people. I don't think Camelot or Epi did anything wrong in this situation. I think if these mega alliances, like these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 alliances, want to hit each other and have these big ass grudges, and they want these mid-tier alliances to help them, persecute their grudges, then these mid-tier alliances have the absolute right to leverage whatever the fuck they want in exchange for helping them. So I don't think Epi did anything wrong in this situation. He has, every right to go and get whatever he wants. If hey, you needed C30s, I got a boatload of C30s. You want them? You got to do X, Y, and Z. Okay? Right? Like, that's the kind of what you have to do. So I don't blame him. Plus, he got himself a 12-month nap when this is the best time for mid-tier alliances. Like, if you're in the C30, this is the best time for you, because all your cities keep getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, because all these mega alliances are pushing C50, but they still need to win the C40 and 30 range. This is the best time for you. Leverage whatever you want. Leverage whatever you have in order to get what you want. So
yeah, dude.
I don't feel bad at all. I think Epi should have done it, and I loved that he said, hey, I'm going to get this stuff. Only thing I think was bad was that he pushed stuff and then didn't share evidence, or if he did, he didn't share it with the right people because he didn't get what he wanted in the first place. So that's the only negative I'll say about him.
That's what I was going to say. It wasn't necessarily the what. I guess I'm not super put off by. Actually, you put it actually pretty good, which I'm trying not to do any more glazing because that was like ridiculous for the first half of the show. But you put that really well. Thank you. If someone's in a fight, and especially if they're an active member of the fight, they should be able to have their own terms. Like, hey, this is our fee. But the how was probably done incorrectly. But anyway, as far as some of the other ones, I will say the whole term of us trying to get the TGH war pieced out, I thought that was pretty dumb. They were trying to throw TGH on our side at first, and ultimately they ended up that completely blew up in their face when the early
fuck that. I'm not a loser. I'm not a fucking coalition B. Fuck that. they said that shit. I'll leak this part of the peace talks. They suggested that shit, and I said, fuck, I look like a loser to you? I'm joining your coalition. And that was literally...
I remember the global you and I did, and I was like, we were like, hey, we need to add this shit. Like, fuck that shit, I'm gone. You just dipped. Like, nope, come to me when you come around, dude. So what about the rating point? What do you feel about these exempt raters? Do you feel like it causes problems in the future? Do you feel like it's kind of bad for the game? Do you feel like it's a gray area? You know, what's the feeling there?
I personally think it's good. I think more alliances should have... I think everybody should have just been able to do the rating exemption. I don't think it should have been limited to 4. I think that the rating... look... I'll put it like this. If your alliance is so inactive that you're getting your offshore looted, that you're doing all this, you probably need to make a change of some sort, and this will push you to do it. And if your alliance is so inactive, you're getting raided, and you can't even counter the raids. Like, we have some people who joined TGH during the war. Yeah, we do. True, we do. We have people who joined TGH during Promo War, and they never got a chance to fight conventionally, right? They've only been turreting. Like, they raided and then turreted, right? So this is a really good opportunity for them to like counter people who raid us and, you know, do stuff like that. So I think, you know, it's able to teach the young people, and, you know, there is a cost for, you know, for doing it. Yeah. And that kind of sucks. But I mean, I think it's, you know, I'd rather people learn how to counter. And, you know, we just went through it with one guy. You know, he was raiding one of our guys. We countered, and one of our guys countered before he asked for war chest because he was low. And that's a lesson learned, that had we not done that and we'd done it in a war, you know, he would have been fucked up, right? So, you know, now, you know, he gets to learn that lesson now. He gets to say, oh, I need to check my munitions and aluminum and steel before I go to war, not just say, yeah, I can hit him, and then immediately declare. So that's just something. And that's another thing for Gov. Like, we need to check the war chest. Like, why did we not check the war chest to make sure he had enough before we sent him out? Like, there's more stuff that, you know, we as alliances can, you know, get better as, you know, if we are given these opportunities. I think getting like 5 months of that's 150 days of no like raids, no war. Like that's completely dumb. So I completely was supportive. I thought 24 was a little low. I agreed with like the 48, but I was supportive of the raid terms, and I think it should have extended to everybody.
Meh. I don't even think, honestly, I'm kind of 50-50 on the nap, to be honest. Even having a nap, month-long nap, I think would have been fine. No rating terms. That's what I would have pushed. Anyway, whatever. Doesn't matter.
I think 60 days should be like the standard.
Yeah, that's
enough for everybody to ROI, right? Like, if you have a couple people who get out of vacation mode a little late, you still have time to ROI them, and then nobody's pissy about losing their rebuild. I feel like 60 days should just be the standard. And then you go back to politics. Right?
My biggest problem is the blanket naps, dude. I'm good with like naps in general. It's the blanket that kills it for me, because then it's too it's just everybody at that point rather than side for side.
Yeah, whatever you sign gets into it, whatever you're
and furthermore, I feel like that's a term that doesn't get talked about, is that whether it's a blanket or whether it's not, it's just kind of assumed to be a blanket sometimes. I know I've been in peace talks where I'm like, So what are we thinking? Like, is this a blanket nap? Is this side for side? And it's kind of like, not touched on enough. But I think if we stay away from blanket naps with these large, alliance, wars like what we just had, these large globals, I think we're better off. It's the blanket that kind of kills it.
Here's something to peek behind the curtain, which I'm sure you both agree with. The reason, the nap, not only is it like, hey, then we can work on getting a return on our investment and build cities, etc. But also, there's a lot of planning usually ahead of a conflict and trying to poll people and whatever. And if a nap is in place, things are a little bit more predictable. And then your timeline and okay, we can just focus internally here and then we can start playing the FA game more or whatever. And so I think it's the folks that generally make the FA moves or try to pull wars together are the ones that like the naps more because it makes things more predictable for them to be able to make said moves, which lame, let's just make no naps. Who needs a nap? Huh?
Well, I think naps are kind of useless.
I'm being facetious, but yeah, they're okay, but it's not.
I think naps just need to be shorter. I think 60-day naps, right? If it's a really long war, devastating, maybe you go 90 days, and that gives more than enough time for everybody to 3K infra rebuild. I think, they've become abused. I think also politics should be way more fluid. I don't like when people join all these blocks and do all this stuff. Have one or two allies, but be willing to work with other people. There's no reason if, for example, Citadel hits up TGH. There's no reason we can't work together. We don't necessarily need to sign an M-level treaty. I feel like you should only have a couple of people. If you're hey, I will defend you no matter what, I'll sign an M level with you. Antarctica Alliance, if anybody hit them, I'd roll the fuck out of them. Why? They fought with us for 11 months, right? There's an obvious reason why I would sign them, right? Other alliances, Eclipse, I understand that one, right? Singularity was a thing, Italian, and then stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like people should have less allies and just be willing to do more things. And don't be scared of losing a war. Because you can always drag the war out and make it worse for your enemy. So just have fun and have less allies.
Yeah, and to clarify, when I was saying, hey, it should be a nap, shouldn't be I meant rating terms. There shouldn't be rating terms. Just treat it, just treat it as regular.
Oh,
rating's been a part of the game for always, right? And so actually, in Arrow formalized the words well. It's by defining it as 24 hours or 40 hours. Someone's 24-hour, if you're agreeing to that, it can pose a dangerous precedent where all of a sudden someone misses a day, they're in the they're sick and they can't log in or whatever, then all of a sudden they're getting raided. That's kind of bogus. The only chuds that are on this game 24/7 are alliances. So anyway, that's the danger there. I think that's why a big reason why there's a lot of pushback on that rating term is just to redefine that and to have it's a dangerous precedent for the game going forward. We don't have to negotiate rating terms in war. It can just that's just my opinion, I guess, man. But anyway,
I think rating is good for the game, but I agree that we shouldn't have defined it with the hours and everything. I think we should have just had a universal grades can be countered type of thing, and it's not it's not a breaking of the nap, and that should have just been the thing. And people who wanted to raid would be able to raid, and it wouldn't be the thing that I think is really bad that people are trying to push, and I don't like it. Some people in alliances, okay, I'm gonna say something that's controversial, but I get it. If somebody from Spectre right now said, and don't do this don't tell Spectre to do this either if they're not listening. If somebody from Spectre right now declared 5 attrition wars against TGH and nuked our info because they were pissed about promo war. I wouldn't call that. I wouldn't say, hey, you can never go back to your community. You have to stay away from them for 9 months. Like, you have to, like, I think that's bad. Like, I think if it's like a thing that happens, we should deal with it on a one-on-one with Spectre. Maybe Spectre just quietly pays us for the nuke city through, and maybe we just, we give them 1 round and, we go ahead. But, like, I think this whole, like, you can't do anything against an app or you are gone from your community forever is completely bad. And I don't like stuff like that. So I'm against that. And I just wanted to say that. So, like, I think if Panky, like, and his friends wanted to rejoin Citadel, I would be in favor of it, personally.
Yeah, boy. Does anyone remember Terminus Jest? Anybody? Okay. So, I guess with that said, real quick, because we're running out of time, this is the topic I was trying to pivot to. I'm going to be honest, I literally just threw this crap together because I promised Kastor I would by the end of the week. So, let's see.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna try and justify it. The top 25 rankings. Let's see what I even put down.
Do you want to start at the bottom and work our way up?
Sure. I mean, because that's the part where I literally just started throwing crap out there. So yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
I mean, honestly, a lot of these are just due to like lack of choices to be able to throw in there.
So I'm gonna say something controversial.
Do it.
I think Mayhem's in the top 25, but I don't think War Task Force is. And I think the 25th Alliance should be Empire of the Romans. They have a lot more political pull, and there's a lot more stuff that Tiberius does behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. And I think that he literally does a lot of stuff, and he has a lot of say with alliances that people have no idea about. I don't think they're like, the most influential, but I think they should be the 25th Alliance on that list. I think Mayhem should be, but War Task Force is no. Like, War Task Force, in my mind, isn't an alliance that has political aims in any way. They're an alliance that just wants to sit, grow their nations, have a little fun, maybe do a game night every now and then, have a little community, and then next thing you know, they join a war and they provide numbers and it's whatever. They're not an alliance that wants to. I don't think they have political aims. I don't think there's any, like, they've had one term I've learned of in like the last like 5 wars, which was, hey, you shouldn't have hit us because we weren't a part of sale. That was it. They don't post terms. Like, there's no political aim there. They just join their friends on wars. I don't think War Task Force is a top 25 influential alliance. I'm sorry.
So essentially where the logic comes down there is they had many more City 40s and High City 30s. So if they wanted to, they have the pull. So part of the power rankings is potential. So if they ever got a hair up their butt and they wanted to be like, hey, let's do something, I think they would have more influence to be able to do something just strictly based on their tiering. And like, for instance, George Clooney, if memory serves, again, this is based on memory and this is a long time ago, but he was in the political theater for a little while with IQ and Acadia, I think it was. So I don't know. That's ultimately, though, like, the smorgasbord of, honestly, between 11 and 15 to 40. There's a lot of interchangeable alliances there,
I just think War Task Force is like I feel like their members wouldn't even allow them to do political things. I feel like that person would be removed. Like,
maybe.
I think like Nintendo, DVD, like those guys, like all they want to do is sit, grow their nations, have fun. Like I think they're all low tax too, so they all log in and play. Like, they're not like, we have to 100 and push everybody to C40. Like, the people who are C40 are C40 because they just built their nations that high and they've been playing the game since 2015. I don't disrespect War Task Force. I just think that War Task Force is just War Task Force. Like, I think that's who they are. So it's hard for me to put them. It's hard for me to put them in the top of 25 of any political ranking. But I understand. It's like C40s and stuff like that. So, all right, let's go up. So I think Roman should be 25, and I think Mayhem should be 24. Mayhem is Green Hood still here? Fuck yes, thank God. Mayhem sucks. No, I'm joking. I think Mayhem is actually interesting. They, I think they're an interesting alliance. So when you look at last war, all these people who had C20s waited a shit ton, and there was like a huge transfer of wealth, like Immaterium and Leviathan, who is what Serenity now. Like there was a huge transfer of wealth where they got millions of dollars, billions of dollars because they raided all the C30s and C40s in Sing Sphere and Rose Sphere, right? So, but Mayhem didn't do that. Like, Mayhem didn't have that, like, rating arc. But so they had a bunch of C20s, right? So what was going on there? And then they also were net negative, despite, not having astronomically high infra either. So I don't really know what was going on other than that they just didn't fight past round, like, 1 or 2. And they just declared no more wars. So, I don't know. I think they could be a lot better than they are. I don't think they're a bad alliance. I just think they could be a lot better than they are.
Dude, is your girl gonna kill you?
No, we have till 9:15. She gave me an extension. At the end of the World Cup, she told me she's like getting ready. So I have 15 more minutes.
World Cup. That's fine. Extra time put on there.
Yeah,
that's fine. All right, keep it going.
All right, Republic,
big dog.
Republic of Libertas. I actually think they should be over Gato. I think they are a decent alliance. I think this alliance is like a C plus B alliance who could, if they weren't like, I feel like they're actually, like, a lot of people are going to disagree with this. I think they have like a really good lineup. Like, they have really decent people, really good people who know what they're doing. I think it was an L for them to get involved in Perma War, and I think that set them back a lot. I think that they will need to focus on growth, and they have a bunch of people to grow and to tier out. I think they'll really, like this 5 months, and if they really, take hold of it, they can become a much more influential alliance than Orbis. I know a lot of people probably don't like democracies, and, democracy is always a little unstable, but the right people keep getting elected and they have the right mindset. They just don't, like, I think they need like an FA guy to go in there and kind of teach them and like direct them a little bit, but I don't think they're too far off. I think they're like a C plus B alliance and they could easily go up. They just need a little help, but they're not bad.
That's fair. Well, using that logic, I mean, they could probably leapfrog even higher up than just 22 or whatever. I mean, Gato, and honestly, I would put Gato below. I mean, I didn't, but I would. I think there's an argument for Gato not even to be in the top 25, to be completely honest. But it's more of a thing on Gato than.
So Gato's been having. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but they've been quietly having some internal problems. They had like 70 members and now they're down to like under 60, and a lot of people haven't came off, and then I've looked and they've had a couple people go like splinter a bit. So I don't know what's going on in Gato, but they've been having like a little bit of an internal issue. So I guess more wins from Promo. No, I'm joking. But they've been having a little bit of an internal issue. So,
I mean, who would have thought?
I've heard that too. I don't like calling you Jacarius. I like calling you Kazami. So I don't know. I don't like this game change.
So we may even to get to the 8:15 deadline, we might have to speed it up a little bit. But House Stark is the reason why they're up to 21. Obviously, they had a lot of bleed. They've had a lot of inactivity. They've had a lot of struggles here lately. But with the recent influx of pretty solid Legion folks, I'd say. I mean, it's maybe that's where the bias comes in, but like Kiwi's pretty solid. Iroh, like those guys, good community dudes. They're on Discord a lot. They're around. I think might help spark some activity with House Stark. So anyway, that's why they're at where they're at. Any yes or no's on that?
So I think it is going to be kind of controversial. I don't like what Kiwi and them did. Like, if you're going to pass the torch, you stay around to help out for at least a little while. And you, like, help them, get set up. They passed the torch and then immediately dipped after a very long war where their alliance wasn't even waking back up. So and then they went to House Stark of all places. I don't know. Like, I think this was really bad. And I was somebody who viewed Kiwi and Iroh, like, very highly. And now I'm kind of looking at them side-eyed because I could never imagine. Like, that's like Borohan resigning and then dipping and joining Guardian or something. I don't know. Like, I couldn't imagine. Like, so, I mean, yeah, like, Rob's, like, in a really bad place, but I feel like they set him up to be in a bad place. So I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Maybe there's some internal drama.
I mean, maybe there is. Like, maybe there's something I don't know. But even so, if you're going to pass the torch, you stick around and you help out. And I know he was like their tech guy too, so I hope like he didn't just leave and take the whole systems down and everything like that. Like, I don't know. I don't know anything about this situation, so I don't want to like.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, like maybe the Rob guy or someone else is like, "Get out of here, you go on now."
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know.
Who knows?
We'll see. Let's. What's next?
All right. But they're. I mean, I really don't know what's going on.
We can
there.
skip that.
Like
Camelot.
So maybe low because they've got Samurai. If you count Samurai within that as well, like maybe 19's low. I don't know.
So I think Camelot is going to be in a good position. They're going to have 12 months if they can actually sit for 12 months. A lot of people think no. I think yes. I don't think Epi will do much. I think most of the Samurai guys even rebuilt Emperor. I think maybe in 5 months when everybody else like maybe fights at the end of the nap, they might be like inclined to join in. But I could also see them just sitting out. So yeah, I don't think that they're. I think that they're just kind of removed from politics, and I think they wanted to be anyway.
All right. Next up, the Immaterium.
Immaturity? Oh, Immaterium. So they're. No, I like them. They're pretty fun guys, actually.
They remind me of Error 404. Don't they kind of remind you of Error 404 a little bit?
I don't know who those are.
Error 404?
I wasn't around when.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. So, Immaterium, they're pretty good. They're solid. They raided a bunch. They took a ton of loot. They look like a really good alliance, I guess. The question really for them is if they can just actually be a regular alliance. They've been very raid heavy in their histories before. Like, there are a lot of raiders. So I guess that's like kind of the thing. They got in the raiding term, so that was really good for them. So I would say that's probably their biggest thing. Keeping that community together and like focusing on stuff when they want to like go after people, stuff like if they're going to pivot to like FA and stuff like that. They're good fighters, they're good raiders. Just can they keep it all together is kind of the question. I think they can. They got a good group. Div is a really good guy. I really like him. Pratt is really funny. And then of course Kazami and Kurama. They're solid people too. So yeah, I like them.
What's the point of you wanting to do this show today to like try and like help with your resetting relations? Just try to glaze a bunch of people so you have options.
Focus. Let's go to the next people.
Okay, next up, name withheld.
I mean, I don't know what's going on. Is the light bulb on there? Like, how do you get looted with 300 billion and you're like sub C40 as an alliance? What's going on, name withheld? Like, how do I have more C40s than you and I got out of promo war? Like, what's going on? Like, you have that much. Oh, wait, I wasn't done with my rant. Okay. BK. Oh, true. Okay, BK. You know, I think they're like a B alliance. They do some stuff well. They don't grow that great, but they don't grow bad. You know, I feel like, you know, they're okay. I think Lone Tech's okay. Yeah, they're just like above average. Yeah. Ooh, TI is interesting. They've got a lot going on. Nokia and Lexia just left. Black Banner's just an alliance. I don't really. What?
We have no government members left.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but Tyrion, I think, is a solid guy. If anyone can turn it around, I think he can. I think it'll be interesting to see if he can turn it around, though. That's kind of my thing.
All right. Next up is Serenity.
You know, I think they're gonna have an interesting time in Orbis. I think they need to really grow. Their tiering is really low, but I mean, they had a lot of money that they looted, so this is the time to grow. And then they got the TSC guys, and those guys are pretty good at fighting, so I think they'll be okay. I think it's interesting they only allied Eclipse, though, and they kind of dropped everybody else. So, yeah. Interesting. UPN.
Yeah, go ahead. UPN?
UPN, this piece of shit alliance. They have Sniper, so dead to me.
He's VM'd.
Oh, yeah, well, he's in UPN, VM, so we see him.
He's in the applicant list, actually. So.
Oh, finally. Okay, good job. I see you slowly pushing him out. But yeah, I mean, UPNs, I think they're interesting. They need to grow to C40. They probably are sitting on like 500 billion because they've been an alliance since 2014. So I'd say just grow to C40 and, you know, kind of impact the game more. They're a little low. They just need some growth. I think they need to get their Milcom back in order. Well, back in order. They need to get some Milcom set up at all. But besides that, I think, it is what it is. I think UPN is an interesting alliance, and they can be interesting. Guardian, I think Guardian is kind of looks dead to me, but we'll see what happens. You know, they're a strong community, so they'll probably come back. And they've chased Eclipse for 2 years. I don't know how much good it's done them. They've had one winning war over them, and they kind of got like smacked twice by them. So I don't know if they're going to continue to chase Eclipse or do something else, but that'll be interesting. Grumpy old bastards. I mean, I think that as alliances grow, they kind of, invalidate Grumpy more. I think Grumpy still has a bunch of C50s and stuff, so they're always going to be influential. They're always going to be somebody who can dictate a war and give the side that they need the numbers. So I think that's their role now. They kind of are kingmakers. So they're just going to make more kings. Either, they've kind of flip-flopped the bats like 2 wars, right? They were against Eclipse, now they're with Eclipse against Rose, so it just depends, I guess, for them. Spectre, I'm going to skip Spectre. The Fighting Pacifist, the Fighting Pacifist, I don't know what's really going on over there. I think Shren is a decent guy, but I don't know what their plan is. They kind of just seem to stick to Singularity, and I don't think they've had much of a identity of their own over the past 2 years plus since they've signed Singularity, and they just seem to always end up next to Singularity, and they sign everybody's Singularity signs. So So I don't really know what's, you know,
2 minutes.
It's singular. Okay. The Knights Radiant. I actually agree with his ranking. I think they are below the Golden Horde. By the way, yeah, I knew you did that as like a thing, but I don't know. They just kind of signed Eclipse and they've done nothing else, right? So it's the same thing as like the Fighting Pacifists. I think they're just kind of
TGH.
yeah. I think they're kind of just ride along people. I'm gonna skip TGH. Yeah, you guys know how I feel about us. Citadel. I think a lot of the impetus. I'm not saying that right, but Citadel. If anything's gonna happen, it's probably gonna come from Citadel. If there's gonna be like any movement or anything, they're kind of like the people to move. They're the newest alliance in the top 10 of like who can actually influence things, and you know they have a lot of, you know, if they want to do something, you know, this would be the time for them to make a move. The syndicate, or they're the syndicate, right? They're kind of just the high tier alliance. They're just the syndicate.
I thought the Shiho move, I'm very curious how that's going to play into things. So I was actually kind of thinking maybe them above Rose. After having a conversation with some folk, I ended up switching it around after the council talked it over. But yeah, I don't know. I think Shiho getting into powers.
I don't think. So here's what I think about Syndicate, right? So they always talk about how they have new government members who are going to take over, and then when a new government member comes in and then does something different, the old government member always just suddenly takes over. So I don't think that Syndicate really allows their people to do new things like in the environment. So I don't think Syndicate FA really changes. I think they just kind of, it is what it is. So Shiho being FA head immediately after the other guys just apparently gone just kind of shows you like their FA didn't really change. So that's how I feel about them. I got some extra time. She's still doing some stuff. So Singularity. I think they're a little high. They're above TGH. That's kind of crazy. No, I'm joking. I think Singularity. I don't know. They're kind of just an interesting case. They have the weakest sphere, but they also have like a bunch of people with them. So like people trust and like them, obviously. So I guess we'll just have to see what they decide to do, and if there's going to be any changes, or if it's kind of going to be the same thing, going forward. Rose. I think Rose has deserved everything that's happened to them, and I think anybody who tells, I like Popeye too, but I think Rose has deserved everything that's happened to them, and anyone who tells you anything different is delusional or crazy. So I like Popeye. I think the new government is interesting. I think that they should definitely be given a chance to, reinvent themselves. I guess the question is, are they going to reinvent themselves, or are they going to stay home and be who Rose is, which is this in the back rooms, shadowy kind of people who just does things, make agreements, or are they going to be out in public doing things now? I think people want them to be out in public, and they are adamant that they're going to be in the shadows, and I think people have continuously rolled them for being in the shadows. So I guess the question is, are they going to get rolled again for being in the shadows, or are they going to finally, focus up and figure out how to do a little bit more public FA? I guess we'll spend time. Event Horizon. I think these guys should be the real number ones. I think they are by far in the best political position of any alliance in the game. You hit Event Horizon, you're hitting like half the game. Well, maybe not that much, but maybe like 30% of the game. And I think that they are in the best sphere. Any sphere, no sphere can 1v1 them. I think that some spheres will have better chances. I don't think a sphere can 1v1 them. So I think Event Horizon number one. But Eclipse, I think, is number two. And I think being number one is probably fair because they are the strongest alliance in the game. I think that they are very straightforward with their FA too. I don't think they have as much problems as a lot of the other majors. I think internally, they win. They're expected to win, and they come out and they do win. They own like the top 10. They own like the top 50 nations in the game. They're the number one alliance in the game for a reason. I think they deserved it and they've earned it. So I think Eclipse. A lot of people don't like Eclipse. I think that's bad. You should like Eclipse. Eclipse has gotten to the top in the most pure way, where other alliances in the past did not. I think the only negative that was on Eclipse's record was that they low-key kind of built a hegemony. Then they got hit for it. They lost, and they turned around, and they won without building hegemony. So shout out to them. But Eclipse deserves to be number one. Let's stamp that. All right. Anything else? Any other questions, anybody? Anything that you want to know before I have to go? No?
Are you going to do any more merges before the end of the net?
Well, Immaterium is, they're something to us, so. Why did Drake go 0-3 on his new albums? So Iceman is probably his best album ever. I think Habiti was good. What's up?
So you're saying that you're merging with Immaterium? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that Immaterium and TGH are very, yeah. So, the next thing is, Kane had some questions. Who do you expect is most likely to break the nap? I don't think anyone will actually break the nap. I think that there'll be a bunch of stupid stuff that'll happen, and maybe there'll be a war, but I don't think it'll be like a nap-breaking war. Anything you'd like to see from pirates? Well, I mean, I think there is something that you pirates have been bitching and moaning about, and none of you are doing anything about it. And I would say, put your money where your mouth is, or shut the hell up. And that's all I'm going to say. And all the pirates know what I'm talking about. And if you're not going to do anything about it, I don't want to hear shit about it. All right? That's all I'm going to say. There's an obvious A to B to Z thing that you could do, and you're not doing it. So, hey. If you got Nuke TGH out of that, then I don't know what to tell you, bro. I would just say Pirates on about it then. And that's not a thing about Nuke and TGH. I think you Nuke TGH. I don't think you do the thing that you all have been bitching about doing for the last. Come on, it had to be. It's not about you. It's not about you. You're not one of the people who've been bitching for the past couple months. So, I don't even think it's been the past couple months. Past couple weeks, sorry. So all the Raiders or the Pirates who I'm talking to know what I'm talking about. If you're not gonna do anything, stop bitching about it. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just telling you to stop bitching about it. All right. Any other questions?
No, man. Thanks for having the show, my guy. Good show, man.
Can't read TGH. Hey, if you want, promo war part 2, BRM. No, you of all people can't rate TGH. You're fucking 52 cities. I think our highest is 45. Chill the fuck out. Go rate like somebody else who has like cities. Like, there's a lot of people who you can raid. Go start some problems, right? Don't fucking bully TGH. Come on now. Come on now. You go bully other alliances, but you can't bully. Go bully somebody else. All right. All right. You're
letting your woman wait, man.
Yeah, she just snapped at me, so I'm about to go. But are you guys sure? Any other questions? Okay. Bye.
That was a heck of a way to send it off. All right. Well, have a good night, dudes and dudettes.
That's it.